Just went live, Jack.
That's amazing.
Just went live. You have to unmute, Jack.
Well, I guess it's just us today.
Jack's not unmuting for some weird reason. Yeah, that's good. For some weird reason, it's not mute. It's not unmuting Jack for some weird reason.
It's just the Laura show today.
Yeah, just to feel Laura's today.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll put it that way. I can see and hear you. Oh yeah. Doreen says we can see and hear you, but I don't know if we could hear Jack near the kids. Yeah. That's just how the podcast goes sometimes, Laura. There's always there's hiccups sometimes, and
that's all right.
That's just the way it goes. I'm pretty sure Jack will pick up. So I don't know how he's going to go about today's show. So yeah,
we'll make it work.
Yeah, we always do. So we do. Yeah.
So how are things going?
Yeah, all good. All good. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about a few things other than internationals today. I think we're going to talk about a few things over Europe and things like that. But we'll see how it goes. So I'm sure Jack will return.
Yeah.
How's yourself? Are you all good?
Oh, Andrew's back.
What did you say to him? Jack's just stormed out the studio. What's going on? What have you said?
I don't know. It wasn't unmuting him for some weird reason.
We didn't do nothing. It wasn't us.
I know we can unmute him from this end, the ones that are logged into the actual setting of it all. But we didn't even unmute him on my end.
Oh well. Let's ask Laura. Not Laura
What
Lee.
one?
Laura.
Which one?
You see. Any updates? Yeah. What's going on with all the injuries, Laura? Or are they injuries, Laura? Oh, and Jack's on his way back.
Yeah. I mean, are they injuries? Of course they're injuries. I mean, I guess. No, McCabe's not an injury, I hear. McCabe's not an injury, but everybody else, yeah, it's all right.
Can we hear you now, Jack?
Jack's back.
I believe so. I think what was even worse was I could hear you guys. I couldn't see you, and my phone was slowly fading into blackness. So I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen, and ignore the fact that I might now have a problem with my phone. But as long as people can hear and see me, I'm happy.
Yeah, it's a good job. We're not live, so we can just edit it out later. Oh, wait. Right. I'm going to go and get my food. Don't stay there, Jack. Keep talking. Bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
Take it away, Jack.
See you later. I know. Yeah. I know. I've even set you guys homework today, and I was going to go. So we're going to start with that. We're going to have a quick look today around the European leagues and just some big questions on it. And we're going to start off with a World 11 because who are the best players in the world right Jesus now? Christ. And kind of we're just from that we can see what leagues they're in, and is there a league that particularly has all the best players that they've been quite spread out. So whilst you guys start, I will give you what I got and allow you to talk about yours afterwards, and maybe tear each other's apart if that's what's necessary.
Yeah.
So I went for Van Domselaar in goal.
Right.
You could have had Mary Earps or Froms. Am I pronouncing that right?
Holmes, yeah.
Frooms.
Rose, yeah. So I've gone Selma Bakker in left back. I apologise for any pronunciations here. Wendy Renard at centre back. The all-time great Elena Linari at centre back. And then I've got Emily Fox at right back. Leah Volti in the defensive midfield. The traditional Barcelona duo, Pateas and Bonmati. I think nearly everyone's going to have them, to be fair. And then I've got Manuela Giuliano from Roma as well. I've tried to get a bit of a Roman presence in today. Hansen at right wing. And then I was unsure between Kershaw and Russo as my striker.
So
I think if Kerr hadn't been in, I have to decide. I'm going Russo.
Okay, good.
Then I'm going to stick to the Arsenal route and go Russo. If Sam Kerr had been fit, I might have perhaps erred on the side of her. Just for every time I attend Chelsea Arsenal, she scores. Even if we win, she scores. But yeah, so that's my team. So if you two want to take yours away, I'm happy to listen.
You can go first, Laura, if you want.
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, I'm the same with Daphne in goals. And then my centre-back pairing is Alex Greenwood and Naomi Gummer, if she's fit. Emily Fox, Julia Gwynn, but I've got a young Scottish one in there that could possibly be a backup if Julia Gwynn wasn't available. But Emma Lawton, who plays for Celtic, me and Mel have spoken about this player before. She's a very good up and coming player, and she just made the senior Scotland squad, and seems to be getting a start for them every time at the moment. Mariona Caldente, Aitana Bonmati, Lena Oberdorf as central defensive midfielder, Alessia Russo, but one of my other ones that I could say for Alessia Russo is she's playing at Kansas City at the moment, and it's Timwa Shiguana and Anita Del Castillo and Lauren Hemp.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot him, to be fair.
Yeah, you kind of forget about players that haven't played in like ages. Okay. Put up mine. We all agree on Van Domsela in goal. That's for sure. I also went with Alex Greenwood at left back, and then I went with I was trying to see or trying to go based on like performance this season, if that makes sense. Because my current top 11 changes like every other week, but based on current performance, I'd go with Mapi Leo and Maya Letizier, and then also Emily Fox at right back. And for my midfield, I obviously had to choose Bonmati, and then I went with Lena Oberdorf and Georgia Stenway actually in defensive midfield, and then my attacking three are Guido Reiten on the left wing, Russo as the number 9, and then Caroline Graham Hansen on the right wing. So I think a lot of Barcelona and WSL. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So we've got a few similarities here between all three of us. In particular, the Arsenal goalkeeper.
Yeah, might be biased to be fair.
But who
I don't know.
Who, to be honest with you, is going to put Daphne out though? Really,
as good
as
Daphne, Ann-Kathrin Berger. She's
if she was to come back, yeah.
Yeah, no, she's with Gotham right now.
Yeah,
but I think she's still up there. She still does really well for national.
For a while, she was put out the Germany team, though, wasn't she?
Yeah, she still is. She's still with the team. I think she was called up again. I don't even know if she played last game. I watched the game. I should know that. But I think she was in goal. To be fair, let me check. Like 1 sec, I can look at lineups.
I think the other person
she was in
obviously is
goal.
Mary Earp, potentially.
Don't know. Oh, I'm not sure about that anymore. Like, if you've asked me 2 years ago, yeah, sure. But currently, not sure. Not sure about that, mate. Is he leaving us again?
Right back, Emily Fox.
Yeah.
I'm still here, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously we've gone right back, Emily Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I think we can all agree that.
Amazing.
I think he was talking about Emily Fox, but I think we can all agree that Emily Fox is world class, especially with what she's earned with him, like with obviously the USA, and of course what she's gained at Arsenal as well. Like she's a player that constantly gets to start. I'm really surprised we haven't run her into the ground. She's just a machine at this point. So she is. I don't know if that's
it's just yesterday. That's what I told you. I told you it was just gonna be yesterday.
Yeah, he's back.
I'm still here. I'm still here. If you
Amazing.
can hear me.
Yeah. You're back now.
Yeah. So now I was just saying, Emily Fox. Is there anyone who we think is closer in right back? Because I mean, for me, I don't know if it was just being Arsenal biased. I went Emily Fox, and there was no other names who even came close to her. With obviously Van Domselaar, Volti, and Russo, who are the other Arsenal players I've got in my team. I felt there was people who could compete, push over, but with Emily Fox, it felt just straight away an easy decision.
Like Onabachi, maybe? Although she
Sama
does play
Basha? Is she on the other side?
No, Onabachi, she's at Barcelona. She's the one that she used to play for United.
Man United.
Yeah, or Julia Gwynn with Bayern, maybe. She's really good, but I think she hasn't really hit her prime yet. But she's like, when she does, she's gonna be amazing. Who else is there? Like Ellie Carpenter. I don't know. Like to be on Foxy's level is
mixed
just
feelings on
different.
Yeah, Emily Carpenter's an interesting one because obviously she is an Arsenal fan. Ellie Carpenter plays for Lyon, has had big performances in big games, but I always feel she is defensively strong, perhaps, as the other candidates that have been mentioned for it.
When I had a look on Google, and it made me chuckle, Laura Wienreuter was number 10 in the world's best.
Okay.
And I thought, when? When was she number 9? Like, I don't understand it. So I had a right good chuckle when I was having a look at across the board at who the top 10, obviously, left back players were. And it was funny. So, yeah.
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 I don't know. There's not a lot of really solid right defenders. They usually are fullbacks or whatnot, but
I found that's actually the case with the whole right-hand side as well. Because I know obviously Hansen was quite an easy choice for right winger because she's so far ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
But after her, again, I felt it was quite a struggle to pick out and out right wingers.
I think the problem with right backs is also that they usually get like they are made to play more of a center back kind of position just because they're like right center back position just because they can do both, and they have so they have another right back and then an actual right back that plays right center back, which doesn't really make sense to me. But it's really hard to say who's a natural right back. You know, somebody in the comments was like, "Is Onabachi does she still play right back?" Yeah, but no. Like sometimes I don't know. Like, but she should definitely. So it's a bit hard. With the wingers, it's not that. That's a bit different because the wingers don't usually play number 9 or something.
Yeah.
What
and then
really
obviously
baffles me how no one's went for obviously Linda Casido.
She's so young. Like I
Yeah,
need to
I
see
had the
more
same
of her.
feeling.
Yeah, but it's a player
Had
that's
she
out there,
teared it
isn't
up in that, had she teared it up in that second leg against Arsenal in the Champions League, and really on the big stage, put in that performance to drag Real Madrid through when the pressure was on, then I might have potentially changed my mind. But that
Mhm.
second leg against us, I felt she really did fade quite considerably from that second leg.
Yeah.
See, I'm surprised nobody went with Trinity Rodman. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Our celebration yesterday was awful.
I didn't even see it. What did she do?
I'll put it in the group chat later.
Okay. Yeah, I've not seen it, but like for a right winger, she does create and does score quite a few goals. So I don't know. Statistic wise, it's good.
Obviously,
Who else is
centre
there
back
on
role
right wing?
is gone. I mean, right? Yeah, Chloe Kelly must be
Yes.
there or thereabouts. To be honest,
Give it
on
a few
current
more.
form.
Give a few more months.
When I researched some players earlier on, Chloe Kelly and Beth Mead. I think Beth Mead was second, and Chloe Kelly was like fourth, I think. But yeah, so they were.
I tell you what, with all
But I
these
don't know if
Arsenal
that's like
players in the
updated
top
or anything.
10, I don't know. But with all these Arsenal players in the top 10, the real question is why we're not winning the league. If it's as highly rated as Google's telling us, but I think that is one for another time. I just want to chat about the centre backs very briefly, because obviously I went Wendy Renard and Elena Linari, but you've both gone Greenwood and Germer. I haven't seen much of Germer, so
I went
enlighten
Leo.
me.
Who did I say? Leo and Mappy Leo and someone. I don't know. Let me see. I wrote it down.
You said Greenwood as well, Laura. Yeah.
I said Greenwood, but I wanted her at left back. And I said Leon and Letizier. I chose Maya Letizier. Whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, obviously Wendy Renard's done what she's done for 15 years, is it now? Must be getting on to
too long
around that time. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll all see what she can do again against Leon. And one thing always surprises me every time I see her, she copes with pace. Like, you'd think at her age, her build, that you'd really be able to get in and behind her, but she's just one of them players who's, I think, so quick in the mind and just knows where she has to be. Also
the captain of France, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
So she's a leader. So another leader in your team that you're looking to step up when things aren't going obviously the way that you would want it to go. But yeah, and obviously height as well. You're looking for that height in the box, and it's one thing that's always a threat. It's the same way, obviously, Pop, the height in her as well. Like, you're always wanting somebody with height in your team.
And then, obviously I went Linari, who has now won 4 Scudettas with Roma altogether, captain of Italy. Who did you go, Laura? Laura L with the.
I said Naomi Gurma and Alex Greenwood. I think we know what Naomi Gurma can bring as well when she's fit. Of course, our Chelsea career hasn't started off the best at the moment, but it's still another exciting defender in the WSL. Although it's not with us, it's for the other side. But these are the kind of players you want to see in the WSL, and I think she's going to fight for that spot when she comes into Chelsea, isn't she? But again, she's another player that we've seen what she can do, obviously for the USA and things like that. So yeah, Naomi Gurma. I'm still a bit gutted that she never come to Arsenal and we never got that deal through, but of course,
she's quite an athletic defender, Gurma, as well, and you just can kind of tell that her alongside Millie Bright is going to work and complement each other quite nicely if they can both stay fit.
Yeah, I mean, Naomi Gurner doing a lot of the running while Millie Bright obviously stands there like a brick wall and just takes everything right off her, then of course that's two defenders you're going to be excited for. But yeah, I still think Naomi Gurner will top over Millie Bright, and it's, as you say, it's a running and her athletic, like her energy and things like that is so much better over anyone else that would get in Chelsea's back line. It's just obviously a shame right now that she's got an injury.
Yeah, and I suppose the only other position that interests me is the striker, because obviously all three of us have gone Russo, but I'm pretty sure that on the masses this one will be quite controversial.
Yeah.
But I did ask a Man City fan the other day who replied to me with Miedema, so perhaps there's a shortage of strikers. Is all I'm going to say. But
No,
I had two for that one, so I had a look at Kiguana's like statuses, and she was obviously top goal scorer in the NWSL last season, and I think she was top for assists as well, along with Banda. So
yeah,
it was a toss up for me between Alessia Russo and Kiguana, so it was a struggle. So I thought I'd just put the two of them in there.
Yeah, I tried to do the
also-
same with Kerr and Shaw as well, because obviously,
I was
Buddy
gonna
Shaw, we
say,
all know.
yeah, when Sam Kerr is fit again, she's gonna tear it apart. Like, I'm like convinced she's gonna be like, I don't know if she's gonna be fit for next season, which I hope so, because it's been a while. It feels like ages that she's been out, but when she's playing next season, no doubt she'll be top scorer, just because of her ability to find the net. And yeah, Bunny Shaw is, unfortunately, she's been injured. Otherwise, there wouldn't even be a debate about who's going to be the top scorer this season. But I think for a good number 9, you just need someone who is clinical enough, who can work under pressure and is physical enough to, prove herself against the defenders. So, who else is there?
Well, I think definitely for Kerr and Russo, would they do it in the big games as well against the big teams?
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain I think Bunny Shaw hasn't, just due to injury, and actually she's missed so many of them big games through either recovering, rehabbing, or just arriving back literally just after the injury. But I know Russo's definitely this season proved herself in the big games, in the big moments, to be the one to look upon. And then I also think back to obviously the Euros and the difference between Ellen White and Russo. I mean, I found myself waiting for Russo to come on often just because of how good she was. And she was at Man United at that time. So
yeah, she's class.
I think to get her on a free as well was just awesome, considering we were willing to put the money out, and then it was like, you know what, just hang off, like we'll get her in a free, and of course we did. I just thought that was absolute brilliant.
United blew that negotiation. Wasn't a good thing they did, but yeah.
Indeed, in Claire Wheatley we trust. That's what we'll say.
All right then. Makes one of us, I guess.
Well, it makes two of us. I think some things Claire Wheatley has to take credit for, and especially like players like Daffy, Mariona, Alessia Russo.
Emily Fox
but
Mariona give her some credit.
Mariona was more Jonas than Claire Wheatley.
So yeah, you've got to give it credit where it's due. I should give Jonas the credit for that one.
Yeah, it's all right.
I was about to say, it's always well, he claimed he did it on his own, didn't he? So perhaps we do need to thank Jonas for the Emily Fox, Daphne, and Mariona signings. Who knows? I think that one will stay a mystery, to be fair. But yeah, just further going on into the leagues. I don't know how many of the different leagues you've watched. Obviously, I get to see quite a few different ones through work. And I was just going to ask, which one do you think is the most competitive?
Ooh.
A lot of people probably instantly go for the WSL, but
Nah.
I don't know. I don't think it's a competitive league, and I think that's one of the key problems that we have with it.
Bundesliga is the most competitive this season.
Have you watched the Scottish League this season?
Yeah, just Celtic, Rangers, and obviously Glasgow City all
And
level on
Hibs.
points, aren't they, at the top?
Well, Celtic have dropped off a little. They've lost their last 2 games, but Hibs is up there as well. So they're so it's a very interesting table at the top at the moment in the Scottish League. So I'm not being biased because I'm Scottish, but I would say the Scottish League this season has topped all leagues.
Quite possibly. I mean, I was going to talk amongst, and don't hate me for this, Laura, but I was going to say the top 5 leagues, so to the top 5 European leagues. But yeah,
the thing is as well, Laura, like the Scottish League hasn't been pushed enough to be up there for the top 5. I would agree with you there. They've not been the top 5, but I would put them up there this season, especially with Celtic getting so far in, obviously, Champions League. They're the first Scottish team to get into the qualifiers. Of course, obviously, like so that the 4 teams competing this season. The Scottish FA, I'll put this politely, just don't give a shit about the women's football up here at the moment. And if they got their finger out, I think the Scottish League would be up there, being one of the top, the top leagues to compete.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chance a few years to go to talk to some people at Glasgow City, and obviously I know you're a Celtic fan, Laura, and when it comes to the men's, I also tend to follow Celtic. But just the whole idea of Glasgow City was a really, really interesting one in the way that it was set up almost to the antithesis to men's football, in particular in Glasgow, as a more of a joining point. But I know that we've spoken about it before with regards to the joint leagues. Do we think that actually if Scotland did join and the top teams joined in the WSL, it would make an impact in more viewers and more spectators going to the games?
I mean, it'll be the same as the men. The men have been talking about moving into a joint league. Obviously, at the Premier League, it will never happen. I don't think for Scottish women's football it would do any good for Celtic and Rangers to move into that kind of league, simply because teams like Rangers, Celtic, Hibs and stuff are supported by the men's league, and if they don't move over to the Premier League, then there's really no point for the women to move over. But the biggest majority of the teams in Scotland aren't supported by a men's team. Glasgow City, who else is in there? Like Spartans and stuff like that. They aren't supported by a men's team. They are their own team. It's sad as well because obviously, as I say, looking at a few of them this season, it's so exciting, but I don't think it would benefit the Scottish League anyway for them to move into the WSL. But I also don't think the likes of Celtic women, Rangers women could compete in the WSL, especially money-wise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not just saying for just Celtic and Rangers to move into WSL, but a whole integration of that complete and make it into almost a British league in terms of let's have Glasgow City over there, who obviously are standing on their own feet.
I think again it comes down to money again. Like I don't think there's so many small teams. It would come down to money. It would be like a relegation for some teams in a sense of well, we can't go over to the WSL because we don't compete in money wise again. So it would be pointless really. So it would.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the other leagues, there was a point this season, I think around January, where it looked like the French league, the German league, and the Italian leagues were all looking fairly close in proximity, and this is obviously fallen away now with the gap between first and second in Italy now being 7 points, unfortunately, Ligue 1's now 10 points after what potentially looked like a 3-team race between Lyon, Paris, and PSG at one point. Bundesliga 6 points. Obviously, WSL's now 6-point gap between first and second. Surprisingly, the closest one is the Spanish league, with just 4 points between Real Madrid and Barcelona. But my bigger question is, does women's football need these competitive leagues to bring in more people, to bring in more entertainment?
My question for the Spanish league, the Liga F, would be, what's the gap between second and third place? Because I believe Barcelona and Real Madrid are pretty close, but then if how many teams are there? Like 16, I believe, in the Spanish league.
So if 14, so, yeah, there's not 14, many.
Yeah, if 14 teams can't catch up with the first and second place, is that really competitive? Or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's really tough because
I mean, surprisingly, this season the Spanish attendance apparently have grown considerably to about 5,000 average altogether, which is pretty decent for a. Have I disappeared?
No, you're okay.
You're back. You were just a bit laggy.
Just to confirm, Laura, it is 16 league, 16 teams in.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah.
So if you compare that to a 12-team WSL, which there's a 6-point gap between one and first and second, but then also third is right behind them, and fourth is probably not far off. I am not sure. I don't have the exact numbers in my
But
head.
It hasn't been as close as that in the Liga F since this season, though. Last season, I'm sure Barcelona were 14 points ahead.
And they had like 100 something goal difference. They were insane.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Barcelona,
but
they're not even bad.
It seems like Real Madrid have really picked it up.
I think that's more on Real Madrid and less on Barcelona. I think Real Madrid really stepped up. But that's why I'm saying, like, let me see. I think I can pull it up. Yeah. So Barcelona have 66 points, Real Madrid 62, and then Atletico 45. You know, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's really competitive. That's up to debate, I guess. I don't view that as a competitive league. But what was your question?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, is it a case of, obviously, in terms of bringing in supporters, so the average attendance, and this will be heavily skewed probably through Barcelona's attendances in Spain's 5,000, which is a decent average attendance, to be fair. And I know, obviously, when I do various Spanish games, if I've, say, got Valencia versus Real Betis, it is decent attendances, especially maybe in comparison to the French league games and the Italian league games. It does seem to be fairly well watched and supported in Spain. Obviously, it's not grown to WSL levels. But I was speaking to someone, and this massive increase in supporters has only happened this season. Do we think that is due to a title race? And then obviously the rest of the teams are quite evenly matched. If you get two teams playing against each other that are not Barcelona and not Real Madrid, the games have really been quite competitive, quite entertaining, and quite high scoring at times. So do we need a closer... I mean, I'm going to put it out there. I don't agree with it, but could a European Super League be the answer? Let's remove various top teams.
That's what the Champions League is for. Nah. I think you also need to make distinguish. You have to distinguish between. So let me give you another example. In the WSL, I think we made a post about it last year. So the average attendance was really, really high with clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, maybe even Manchester United. But other than that, it's not even like some clubs, if I remember correctly, didn't even average 1,000 at home games. So I'm not really sure that's what you can say. Like, this is a league that has a lot of yeah, of course, the league has a lot of fans, but not every club brings in the same amount of fans. And I think that goes for Liga F, that goes for the French league, goes for Italian league as well. That you have these clubs that have really, really high attendances, and also fans willing to travel. And that's another key factor. And I think this is why, in my opinion, like the Scottish league and the WSL mixed together wouldn't make sense, because how many people would actually travel to see those matches? So you have these top clubs with a lot of attendances, and then everybody else is just there, I feel like, you know what I mean? So no, wouldn't make sense to make a European league, but I guess that's what the Champions League is for, and I think we should keep it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. I do not agree with a European Super League.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense. Only for the clubs that have the highest attendances, and then that's a bit unfair, isn't it?
I mean, do we think the introduction of a Europa League, which is obviously coming, is going to make a big impact? Or do we think, in a similar way to what's happened in the top divisions in men's football, it's actually just going to leave the gap between the top 5 or 6 teams even bigger financially, and then the rest are going to almost drop down further?
For me, I think it's about prize money as well. Like, the prize money in these competitions are so poor. I think prize money needs to be a big major, like a raise up for the women. You look at the prize money for Champions League for the men, we talk about it all the time that the women have got such a long distance to go, but I think a team like Arsenal would be ready for being up there in a sense of money and things like that. But of course, when these competitions don't pay out half as much as what they do for the men's competitions, then of course the women are kind of like, well, we're only really competing really for a low fee. And of course the teams are like, we're struggling to bring in, well, obviously Chelsea haven't, but like you look at Arsenal, or even if you go down lower like Brighton, or we know it's going to be a long time before teams like Brighton or Leicester or whatever are going to be able to compete up there with the top teams. And it's for me, it's, you know, it's always going to be a three man race in the sense of like WSL. But if the money come up, I feel like teams in the lower bit would be like, you know what, let's fight for this, because we've got a big pot of money to fight for, and of course that big pot of money can then bring us up to the point where we need to be at. But as I say, it's a long way to go for the women, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
I think a Europa League, Women's Europa League, could definitely be something that's interesting. I mean, obviously the fear is obviously someone like Man United dropping into 4th place and getting into it. But I'm guessing, yeah, I'm just trying to think, it'll be Man United, Atletico Madrid. So it will be, I have a fear that it'll be the traditional big male name teams who are just not invested, but almost will be able to get away with it as a result of dropping into the second tier of European competitions. I don't know. I just fear that the gap will grow ever bigger as a result of it. Whereas we need to make the leagues closer and more competitive. I mean, I would like to see part of the 30% of every match fee or attendance fee go into the away team, like I think it used to be in men's football in the 70s, as a way to grow it. So if a team comes to the Emirates, it's a big crowd, they get 30% of that fee, and it keeps them going. So they know that if a Spanish team plays Barcelona, they get 30% of that.
It's still the same in Scotland. It's still the same in Scotland. Ticket money is divided between the two teams that are, of course, competing. Like I know, like some of the pitches and things like that up here, especially with the men, of course, as most people call it, the old firm. Of course, it's only just recently that those fans have been allowed back into, obviously, at each other's stadiums. But I know the likes of, if we go to, like Livingston or whatever, the money's split between, and then Livingston will open up more of their stadium because a team like Celtic or Rangers are going to bring more fans, which I think would be better in the WSL league, because I'm not being big-headed here when we say we're Arsenal fans and we will take more than what we have to, but when you're having to book a ticket to go into the away end of Chelsea or like say that Crystal Palace, open it up and just allow the Arsenal fans to erupt in a stadium, and there you go. You've made your money, and your women are away running because they've opened up a full stadium to, of course, all the ones that can bring fans. And we know, as Laura said, there's a few teams that that are going to take a good following.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely help spread the finances in the women's game more equally, because I think similar to the men's game, definitely in England, it has them issues. I mean, I'm interested, Laura, in Germany. Is it the same as the men's game? Is it the 50+1 rule still apply to does the female Bundesliga teams as well, or is it a sort of different setup?
It's hard to compare. I think it starts with top clubs not having the venue to even allow more than 3,000 people in. So I think that's where it starts, even though, like, I know, like, the Bayern games, they have been sold out, but yeah, only because I think they're only allowed to let in 2,500 spectators. So you have to think about this as well. And I know for Frankfurt, it's the same. I've been to their stadium, and it's tiny compared to a packed Emirates, or even like, I know having the Emirates as a home stadium is a massive privilege for the women's game. But even if you compare it to Chelsea or even United's ground, it doesn't even compare. So I think in Germany it starts with having the capacity to even allowing the games to be played in big stadiums. And I think last year I went to the cup final, Bayern Wolfsburg, and that was played in Cologne, because it's always being played in Cologne, and it was sold out. I think it was sold out, and there were like
I think I saw that, about 40, 50,000 fans there.
Yeah, around 50,000. So it was like massive. We've tried to find parking, insane. But when I went to Frankfurt a few months ago, I think it was in October, and I watched. It wasn't a top game, to be fair. I think it was Frankfurt against Werder Bremen, but this stadium is tiny, so I think that's where they need to start. They do sell out, but how hard it is to sell out if you only let in 2,000,
And I suppose you can never let it grow either. If you're only letting certain amount of fans in, it becomes very much a closed shop by those who always go will always continue going.
Yeah, they do have.
Obviously, I know Germany.
It's different for every club, I think. I think the lower league clubs don't have that issue, but Bayern and Frankfurt and Wolfsburg will definitely have this issue.
See, the thing is, in the Scottish League as well, we're finding it as Scottish fans. Like, of course, I'm one half of the Old Firm and James is the other half of the Old Firm. Celtic, I'm Celtic, James is Rangers. But what we are finding it is, they've got the stadium for it. They've got Celtic Park. They've got Ibrox. But we'll find it sometimes that Celtic and Rangers will only advertise 3 days before the game's due to kick off. Now, what kind of advertising is that for your women's games? If you're only, it's the same with the Scottish game, like the Scotland game. You only hear it on the radio 3 days before that game's due to take off, and you're like, what kind of planning are you giving us, as Scottish women fans, ahead of planning that game? That I can go in 3 days' notice. Like, it's advertising, and of course, if you look at a team like Arsenal, over the years have managed to nail that advertising. So, of course, Chelsea did say we were taking a bit of advice on what Arsenal have done with their advertising. But why haven't all teams across Europe took that advice from Arsenal to figure out what they've done to get the fans through the door.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a Roma
horrible.
fan as well, and I speak to quite a few Roman fans based in Yorkshire, where I am, and they always know the women's scores, even though they're predominantly members of the male team. Every single week, they know the scores. Their ultras, I know, often try and get to 2, 3, 4 games a season, and there's about 10, 15,000 of them, and they just can't get into games as well because obviously they don't play at the Olympico, but they play at smaller things. So I guess the question is, why do we think purpose-built grounds for the women's teams is the way forward? I know often I say with Arsenal that a 40,000 seater for us would be absolutely perfect and spot on.
I agree.
And sustainable as well. And do we think this is almost something we're waiting for the bravery of a club to say, okay, here is the opportunity? I mean, obviously, I know Rome is going to move out of the Olympico eventually. They've got plans to leave the stadium. Can the Olympico be left to the women's side? You think of the 2 Milan clubs and the San Siro, which is eventually they're both moving out of. Can the San Siro be left to the women's sides? It's hard to know. Is it purpose-built stadiums? So I do think if we give them the stage to play at, they will get the crowds will come in.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because, as I say, it all comes down to money when it comes to the women's game. It's obviously still not a big earner, but of course, like you say that you're looking for a team to go, yeah, you know what, we're going to build our women a stadium, or we're going to build a new stadium for our men and let the women move in to that stadium.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be something that will happen anytime soon. Definitely not. As you said, that it's just taking that one person to be brave to say, you know what, we're going to invest in this, and that's it. James is absolute furious that Scottish take absolute piss with poor advertising, which of course I said that. But yeah,
I mean, I think to male football, teams aren't making a profit, are they? They're hemorrhaging money, most teams, and taking out loans and stuff. So it is a case of, I think, women's football is being put to a unreasonable standard of, you must be sustainable, you must be making a profit every season, and then you can't have a stadium because you can't afford it. Well, most of these male teams cannot afford it either.
The thing is, though, it starts with ticket pricing. You know, you can get like a woman's ticket for like what, £5, £10? I don't know. I know I never pay a lot when I come to see the Arsenal. But when you try and see a men's match, the prices are way different. So I wouldn't even say the women are like, they're not even bringing in that much, like not as much as you. Oh my God, my cat! Not as much as you think it would, because if you don't align I think they're scared if they will increase the prices that less people will come, and that's not the goal. The goal is that people come, so they do these like, oh yeah, your kids can come for free things. You know, I see this all the time. Oh, bring your kids for free. But that shouldn't, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this because it doesn't bring in anything. It's money wise, you wanna increase your income, and this is not happening. So for coming back to your the stadium question, as for this right now, this year and the next few years, it is more sustainable to build a new stadium for a men's team and let the women play at their old stadium. It does not make sense to build a stadium for a women's team who, compared to the men, are still bringing in less money, even though the men are not making that much, but they still make less, definitely, just based on those factors.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know in some male teams in the lower leagues, League 2, League 1, they do kids for free for a day. They do 50% off ticket. They put money into, or they pay for tickets to go into schools and stuff. And if the women were in more bigger stadiums, I do think that could be something that's almost worth doing, because it gives people a chance. Football's become so unaffordable for so many normal people who have an appetite to want to go and watch it, but they can't afford it. And so I'm not fully against that idea, but it is, everyone wants to go to see football in a full crowd, no matter who it is and how big the capacity is. And I do think it's definitely good to get more people in.
Yeah, that's where it starts though. I don't know. I feel like if a kid's ticket is like what, 5 or 7 quid, that's all right. So and that is the normal. That is normal right now. I've seen tickets for less than £10, and I think that's affordable. And yes, I agree that the men's game definitely has become insane. The pricing has become insane, but for the women's game, it's still all right. And in some occasions, I would say it's a bit cheap for the games that are being played. So I don't know. I think they should start looking into this as well. But yeah, would make sense to build stadiums for them.
Yeah, Jack, I don't know if you want to answer that question for Dorian. Of course.
Yeah, I'm just reading, and I don't think I actually know the answer to that one, unfortunately. I will have a look into it, Dorian, and get back to you on that one. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain. I do remember something happening about it, but as for what, I'd only be guessing, I think, and waffling if I tried to say that one without looking at anything. I mean, obviously, I do know the Club World Cup, there is going to be a female version, which will be definitely interesting to see how much money goes into that and the prize money and stuff like that when it comes to that. But I do think it would provide a very entertaining tournament. I know that I'm quite looking forward to the men's tournament and seeing South American teams play European teams and stuff in what I think will be quite entertaining games. I mean, the final question before we finish I had on here was, if you were a player, where would you go? What leagues would be the first ones you would go to now?
Oh my God.
Obviously, I know.
You can't do this to us. Why are you doing this to us?
Well, whilst I let you think, I will start, because I mean, I'll be honest, I would want to go to the big clubs, the traditional clubs that have the history of the male game. So I'd want to play for Arsenal. I'd want to play for Roma. I could definitely be persuaded by one of the Milan clubs on the names and stuff. Barcelona. I think I've been put off Real Madrid after seeing their ground on that occasion.
Yeah.
But the reason I ask it is probably America, obviously, is a really good women's league, and one that's, I mean, I looked at their average attendance and it's around 11,000 for an average WSL game. And I've seen them on TV. The quality is brilliant. The support is brilliant. It's really well watched. Their stadiums are fantastic as well. But maybe I'm just an old traditionalist. But when I initially thought of where would I go, America was quite far off the list. So I just wondered if, where would you guys go? Would it be the traditional Celtics, Arsenal's, United's, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, Lyon, or would it be, or have you got some better answers than probably me?
Depends on if I'm a good player. No,
let's say you're a good player.
Okay, one thing I want to add to the NWSL thing is that what you have to keep in mind is that in America, soccer is not a men's sport. Soccer is just a sport. So over here is quite far-fetched, but in most of the countries, football is just a male-dominated sport. And in America, that's never really been the case. Because they're so big in American football, so it's a whole other thing for them. So to bring in 11,000 is no biggie, because it's nobody cares that it's women. It's just soccer. How would I go? I don't know. I need to think. Laura, you go first. I need to think. That's only I wanted to add that to the NWSL. I need to have a think about this.
I like how you passed the buck, but I would say of course, one of the top the top teams in the WSL, but I'd definitely retire at Celtic, most likely. Just to say I played in the Celtic top, but yeah, one of the top teams in the WSL, because it has been the most competitive league for the long run, and of course still being one of the competitive leagues. But where I would go, I certainly wouldn't. I would never ever pull a blue shirt on, and I won't ever do that for Rangers or Chelsea. So you'll never see me in blue. So if Arsenal ever bring out a blue top, darker than navy blue, then I'll never wear it. So
fair enough.
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the light blue of Lazio either. So I think just avoid the colour blue is usually a safe option to go.
So of course it will be Arsenal then, won't it? Cut me open and I'll bleed Arsenal and Celtic. There you go.
This is a really tricky question. I feel like.
I mean, Laura, can I ask you, especially with the Bundesliga ones, would it be the more traditional Bundesliga teams that you would dare to decide of going to?
No, I was gonna say this is where I would start my career because it's very close to home. Wolfsburg is like an hour drive for me, so this is probably, if I got in, this is probably where I would start. Just because, when you're young, I always admire those players who, like, look at the Australian players in England. They're so far away from home. They're so young, but they're doing really well. But I don't know if I would do that well if I was in my early 20s, having this amount of pressure, because it is a lot of pressure if you play for a club like, let's say, Arsenal. But in the Bundesliga, you would get plenty of playing time. The pressure, it's there, but it's not like, we all know Bayern is going to win every season, so it's all right. We need to act like it's not the case. So if you start at Wolfsburg, get plenty of time, and then eventually I was thinking either the Spanish league or the WSL, but then Spain is a bit too hot for me, so maybe I'll just choose England based on that. Yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind. I don't do well in the sun. I just burn no matter how much sun cream I put on. It's really bad. So either WSL or recently NWSL I would do as well, just because it's really good. I like it, and you get to travel to a lot of fun cities, and I enjoy that.
You said the NWSL, and that's got sun in most of the countries, is it not?
No, it's not. No, not if you play it for Washington. They never get any sun. That's
I was about to say, you need to head up north, I think, with that. You don't want to be.
Yeah, no, but I think compared to Spain, if you play, I used to live in New York. I don't know if you guys know that. I used to live in New York, and the weather was alright. So I wouldn't. Yeah, but if you go to California, Florida, different story. Wouldn't do that, but all those that have okay climate, I would do.
So Scotland then. So you would come to Scotland.
I guess that's all right. I'm not even. I actually really like the Scottish League. I do have to follow it purely based on social media, and the people I talk to so far from that league, they're all really nice. They're really class.
There's a really good magazine, to be fair, on Scotland, and particularly on Scottish women's football, called Nutmeg. That's it does. And I know that they do some brilliant articles on some really interesting stuff. So if people do want to check them out, I know they're really, really good. And they gave me the opportunity to speak with people at Glasgow City and stuff when I was looking into bits and bobs about the league. So yeah, I know they're often looking for writers as well. So if anyone is interested it's always worth contacting them.
Yeah.
I even got no time like this, mate. I'm not. Yeah.
I was speaking to the many people watching.
Sure, watching us. Yeah. Okay. So did we all agree WSL and maybe Scottish League if there's any time?
Yeah, I'm having a detour to Rome as well, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I might follow Catherine Cole's career path, but just for Paul, she's got it right. Arsenal, then to the capital of Italy, and I'm sure it'll be interesting to see where she moves next. But
Yeah,
who knows?
more to come.
Maybe a trip to Catalan or something for Barcelona.
Barcelona, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Still got high hopes for her.
Yeah, it's gonna be really warm.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Laura and Laura. I mean, there was going to be no mistakes with the names for me tonight, thankfully, on my time hosting. So thank you for keeping it nice and easy. Thank you for joining me and putting up with my many questions that I asked you. And hopefully this isn't going to be the start of George setting us homework as well for
Oh my gosh,
that was hard homework. That was hard, that homework.
Yeah, that was easy, but I'm afraid what he might do.
It took me about 5 minutes to figure out my starting 11.
But it only gets worse from here. It only gets harder from here.
I was arguing with my shadow over it. On the piece of paper that I've done it, I've crossed it out. I was arguing with myself over the defence, midfield, all sorts. So, but no. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone for the comments. I wanted to click on them, but with the way the internet was at the beginning, I didn't dare click on absolutely anything at all on my phone. So I'll be having a read through them afterwards for sure.
Well, thank you for having us on, Jack. It's been a pleasure, and of course, something different to talk about than just Arsenal. I think, of course, we would be all breaking our hearts at the moment if we were talking about Arsenal, considering the injuries that's happening. But let's not.
Let's just watch this next round of internationals hidden behind a sofa, like if we were watching Doctor Who with the Daleks, and hopefully everyone comes back fit and firing afterwards.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I don't know if Andrew has come back for you yet, but
I'm not sure. I'm hoping he's there or thereabouts. So we might actually have to start talking about Alessia Russo's injury to
we have to go, guys. I really have to go.
I can end it. It's no problem. So if you want to just give your intro and whatever, I can end it.
Why would you do that?
I was about to say, maybe we put Andrew to sleep. Maybe that is what's happened.
He's gonna come right in. He's just one click away from joining. I can feel that. I can sense once we start talking about it, they're all gonna be up on here.
As I say, I've got the stuff here that I can end it for you, so it's no worries.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and I'm sure we'll see you on Friday or next Monday.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.